We've got some
Hey,
fresh new
I'm
young
Luis.
talent
And
doing some
I'm
things that I
Luis.
know you haven't
And you're
heard
listening to the
before.
Content is Profit podcast. So today we have a special friend we met at Podfest.
Oh, that is right. I was like,
That
wow.
is your cue, Fonzie.
I know, that is my cue.
Okay, let's try that again. Hold on, let's try that again. Today we have a special friend we met at Podfest.
She's currently pioneering the AI movement within the podcast industry. And in today's show, she's going to show you how to use it to grow your podcast super duper fast.
Fun fact, she changed a life of hospitality by exiting her previous company for a life of technology and podcasters. Dad jokes.
That's right. My brothers, dad
Yes,
jokes.
yes.
Indeed. Please welcome founder of Capsho,
Deirdre
Tshien.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm on a game show and I'm like, this is my cue to like run down the stairs.
Because that's it. We've talked about it. We've talked about turning this into an actual game show. I'm going to throw the idea out there for anybody who wants to take it, because we believe in abundance.
Yes.
But we thought about sending you guys these little box and with a big sticker that says, do not open until showtime. And then during the show, you get to open it and is a whole bunch of little games that we get to play.
I'm in.
Through the screen.
I am in. I don't need to hear any more. Let's do this.
All right. New show coming soon, guys.
For those listening, by the way, we're saving this interview because in a year or so we're gonna be like, we know her, that that billionaire over there making so much money and helping so many people. She was in the show, so it's gonna put that.
We're definitely gonna use that name for leverage. Just saying.
I know.
Full license too. Love it.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Yeah, obviously, we met at Podfest. I think was the first event that we met, and then we went to a different event and we saw you guys there again, and then we saw you in a third event, and then a fourth event, and you guys had a booth there, and it
was like you guys were stalking me.
Pretty much. We're like, they have a cool accent. Let's just go talk to them and learn. But you guys have a pretty cool solution. That's pretty much how we met you and how we started talking, right? Because obviously we have the podcast, we have the show, we've been in this space for quite a while. We work on systems on the back end. We have a team. We help other companies build their teams and their systems. So we're like, the solution that you are bringing to this field, initially it was like, oh my gosh, I'm mind blown. Tell me more, because you guys are like in the middle of that AI revolution and content intersection goodness. Right. So before we go into the tool itself, can you tell us a little bit about your story, right? You don't come from tech specifically,
No,
right?
not at all. Oh my gosh. I come from probably the other end of tech. Like if you think about hospitality and banking, by the way, that was my corporate career. Like that is, it's definitely at the other spectrum. So you can probably tell why I couldn't wait to get out of it. But yes, so by the way, congratulations on the name. You did pretty well. You did pretty well to pronounce my name.
Made it.
Yeah.
Did you notice that I did not say your last name?
I know.
I was like, I am not gonna. Yes.
He threw me under the bus. I was like, you know what? I got this.
He got it. Full responsibility.
It's name karma. That's what I'm going to put it down to, because I know when I was interviewing you, I also was like, I don't know if I'm saying your last name right. You were like, that's good enough. That's it is what it is.
Good enough, right?
Yeah, exactly. So well done. So gosh, my story. Okay. I'm gonna like corporate blah 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 boring stuff, and then that was actually what led to the quarter life crisis. I'm sure that you guys are well aware of the quarter life crisis. Yep, where us millennials and anyone younger than that generation, we just get that that sense that we should be doing other things really with our life. So at the time, we had no idea. So it was me and my then boyfriend, now husband. He was studying medicine. So again, also talk about complete, 180s. But he was hating it. He was hating life. And so we were both in this quarter life crisis, and we're like, what in the world are we going to do? We had no idea. He fell in love with cooking. Like we moved out and he just started baking my favorite desserts, because I love desserts. And that's really where our first business, called the Choc Pot in Sydney, was born. It was through his love of baking. and my love of desserts, really. So yeah, that was, we grew that to 5 locations in Sydney. We also opened burger restaurants alongside that. So we had 2 locations. And then, then we basically, there was a moment in time. I'm kind of like fast forwarding. I'm just giving you the highlights of really like juicy things. Yeah.
The cliff notes.
Exactly. Yeah. We, end of 2018, we found out one of our store managers had been stealing from us, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that was like, it was like the like F this moment for me, being in hospital. Like, it's not that I loved hospitality ever. It was just that we had built this thing, and it was, you kind of go, well, you build this business and it's doing pretty well, like just keep going with it. But at that point, I think that was almost the circuit breaker that we needed to be like, oh, is this what you want to be doing? And it was not what I wanted to be doing.
Cue crisis number 2. No.
Well, that was so at the time, you've met Bona, my co-founder. Yep. And she's the CEO of Capsho. And we both were actually exploring this fashion technology idea. So we kind of started dabbling in the technology space kind of even at that time. And because of this moment, I was like, F this to everything, right? I was like, even to where we were living, because I was like, you know what? I want to just live somewhere else. And, there's no better place for fashion and technology than New York City. So I was like, all right, guys, husband, cat, Bona.
I was like, is Bona the cat too? Like,
I feel like this is awfully similar to my brother's situation when they moved to a new house. He was like, wife, kiddo, dog, FONZI. I was like, let's go.
Exactly. Yeah, you know how this works. This is why this whole thing is a match made in heaven, because we get it. We understand.
Right.
And so we did that. Long story, like, there's a ton of things that happened along the way I'm definitely happy to go into, but I don't want this to be about, the Deirdre's life journey story thing podcast. So I'm going to cut it short and just say, fell into podcasting, just figured out that there was just so much friction, like just the pain of all of the copy that we just don't think about as podcasters, right? That go into that. Yeah. And that's how Capsho came about.
Yeah. And I'm going to give some background, right? Like, obviously, if you're listening to a pod, obviously you're familiar with podcasts, or if you've ever tried to do one, right? You not only have to do your research, you have to create the thing, right? Then you have to produce it. You have to okay, if it's only audio or the video, but then after you do all that, you're like, wait, there's a description I got to write. Wait, there's an email that I need to send. There's a promotional, there's a distribution, there's a caption. Yes. Oh my gosh. Right. And we talk a lot about this, about the 6 stages of the production side of things, one of our keynotes. And we've been looking for solutions to do that. Right. Obviously right now we have a team member, and FONZI loves, well, I said you love to write, but I don't know. Are you really?
I like to write.
You like? Okay. Sounds good.
I enjoy writing.
Yeah. But in my, in our co-founder type of deal on our side, I think his writing is a little too slow for the pace that we do the show. So we're like, okay, I love that you love to write. Maybe you take one episode every 2 weeks, and then we leverage AI for the rest, right? Like, yes. And maybe we split test. But anyway, so we're always looking for solutions on how to improve the process, how to improve the time. And that's when we met you and what you guys do at Capsho, where you take this AI technology and just grab and identify these amazing moments in your podcast and then create really accurate descriptions. That's version 1, which, by the way, you guys, I think by the time that this podcast is released, you guys will be releasing version 2, which I saw a sneak peek and I'm like, oh, so good. But I remember having a conversation with you. I'm like, okay, Deirdre, here's my dream software, right? And I told you everything that I wanted in that software as a content producer. And I saw your gears turning in your head. And I'm like, wait. Do you have something like that already? And she's like, we're working on something that's really close to that. And I'm like, so excited. So why don't you describe Capsho a little bit, better than I did? I think I'm all hyped and excited because I've used it a little bit. But for those that might not be familiar with Capsho, can you tell us what it is?
Yes. Oh, okay. So in short, it is an AI-powered podcast copywriter. And when we talk about copy, I mean content marketing, right? So it's it definitely what we wanted to do was, and I'm going to give a bit of context around, where like the whole genesis of Capsho as well. But we are firm believers in the power of storytelling and expertise. Like that's where we started, and that's why we got into podcasting, and that's why I love listening to shows like this and speaking to other podcasters, because it's just such natural storytellers, right? And for me, when I was struggling with all of my content, and this was back when I had a coaching business, it was a struggle because I had nowhere to start. I didn't know what stories would resonate. I got in my head a lot about social media, it was just a lot of things that was happening. But what I was doing pretty consistently was recording a podcast, because it is one of the most intimate and freewheeling and fun piece of content that you can create. And I was like, okay, well, I'm already telling my story. I'm already sharing my expertise in this way. How can I just harness this and amplify it? Right. That was kind of, how the whole concept of Capsho was born. And so we were like, okay, so our starting point is the podcast. If we can just take that and just create, let's talk about, we obviously have the podcasting related things like title, description, show notes, of course, but then there's like social media captions, and there's the email that has to go out, and there's a blog post that we can actually utilize the power of SEO. And then there's like YouTube descriptions, and there's quotes, like you said, like how can we pull out those key moments and really start to use the power of AI to do a lot of this really like tedious tasks for us. And so that's what Capsho does. You essentially upload an audio file, and in under 10 minutes, it creates all of those assets for you, from a copy perspective.
So it's music to my ears. FONZI might have a different point of view, but we'll see. I don't know.
No, I like the idea. I will say I've been not against AI. My battle is against people turning like the people in the movie from WALL-E, That's my problem. I feel like in a way society is turning into those people that are in those floating chairs, they're like super fat and they cannot move and they don't want to think and they don't want to do anything. That's my problem. Yeah. So when somebody actually uses like AI technology, or is thinking of using AI technology for the purpose of not doing work, like that's when it bothers me in a way.
Yes.
But I will say what I really like about yours, and I'm actually trying to find the page where I saw it, is that you guys actually use it to kickstart that process as well, right? So you don't have, it's a phrase that you have on your website. I'm trying to find it right now. I cannot find it, but it says, it helps you with the writing process from scratch, right? So it kicks it off. It gives you all these ideas, all these things, and you kind of like top it off and put your the creative cherry right on the top.
Yeah, so, I love.
Yeah, rant over.
No. Thank you for that rant, because I 100%. I would say I agree. I actually do agree with you. And this is kind of, is it okay if I go into my own little rant? And
yes.
Rants encouraged.
Yes.
Rant away.
And this kind of leads into Capsho 2.0, which you mentioned is actually coming up. So we're in the midst right now, like literally I'm looking at Bono over there and she's like, testing. Our developers have just just given us another a link to and she's like testing it right now. So that's how in it that we are right now. But okay, so oh gosh, it was probably when like the hype of ChatGPT happened, and it was like everyone is talking about this AI thing. And at the start, I was like, okay, this is cool. I don't have to worry about educating people on AI anymore or doing any of that sort of stuff, and all of that. But then people started asking. They were like, what are your thoughts on AI, and where's AI going? And because it was just so much. So much buzz about this thing. And so it actually forced me to have to think about it. Not to say that I hadn't been, but I was just like in a go mode. So I was like
in the mix,
yeah, exactly. And so for me, for me, and we've actually coined it. I still have to figure out how to say it in a way that doesn't sound weird, but it's like humanity. It's like human, like with AI, and it's like humanity. Like we're in the humanity era, right? Where I actually have, to your point, Fonzie, I have a little bit of a dystopian view of the future of AI. I do think that could potentially be, potentially more harm than good, in the future. And so for me, I was like, how can we help? What's our responsibility as a company in AI to actually, try to prevent that happening as much as possible? And I think one big piece of it is like, how do we enable humans to be at the center of content creation, like true content creation, and essentially free them up to do more of that, free them up to be actually do more of the human things, like being creative and like building their expertise and sharing it and their experiences and things like that. And so that was actually what precipitated 2.0, because I was like, when I had this epiphany where I was like, oh my gosh, this is potentially going to be the end of the world, as we know it, what can we do to actually, help to, stave that off a little bit. And so 2.0 is all about this, how do we step into this humanity era and keep our humanity, keep, so that's why with 2.0, we have things coming like the human, you control the whole process. Like 1.0 was all about, it was about efficiency. I'm not going to lie. It was all about, okay, well, how can we try to make it as easy as possible for you? We're just going to give you, based on our structure and our like best practices as marketers, we're just going to give you that. That's been populated by AI. Whereas now it's like, no, like we don't want everyone's show notes to look the same. Like that's we don't want everyone's blog post to look the same. We want you as the human to be creative, because now you have the time to do that, because all of the actual what words should I use that's been sped up for you. So you now have the time to actually lean into being more of the human, like really being creative. So that's kind of the whole business behind 2.0.
Yeah, I like that. And I agree with that. I like the humanity. Maybe I'm not using it right. I don't know.
I love it. I love
it. And the people that I've seen find success with it as of right now are people that are embracing that, kind of like using it more as something exponential to their own creativity and their activities.
Yes.
But I feel like I see so many people too just trying to, kind of like try to make it do all the work for them and everything for them. And I'm like, no, you're just going to end up in a chair in space, being all chunky and not being able to move,
You know what I call that? I call that black hat businessing. Like
black hat, yeah.
Right? Like I'm going to just spin up a business. I'm going to just write kids books and whatever, because I can. And it's like, that is not the best use.
I think we're missing a point. And one of the, like you said, like you were forced to think about these things. And last week I was in a similar situation, and the question was around that for content creators. That'd be like, okay, well, now that we have the AI, not only on text but also on video or also on pictures and all these things, and I'm like, that's gonna hurt the actual attractive character. And in my point of view, is the opposite. Is gonna just elevate you to a whole new level, right? Because I do believe that even though it can be very advanced, it's never gonna be able to replace you. So when people actually get the real you, right, the real person, the real expert, the real like authority building type of engagement in content side of things, I think that's gonna differentiate, the AI from the good and the goods from the greats, right? And if you are one of those greats that have put in the work and published and put in the reps, maybe with some help of AI for parts of the process, I think you're going to get there faster and people are going to be able to trust you a little bit more. So that's why I'm personally so excited, because, we've seen firsthand, not only us, we've created the podcast. I think we're about to turn 4, crazy 4.
Woo-hoo!
Damn, which is insane.
Your son's about to turn 4 too.
My son's about to turn 4. Yeah. We actually launched the show right before we found out.
Right after.
No, in March, right?
No, because we were doing Bruce and Bros when he was a tiny baby.
That's right. Look at that timeline, fact checking. But with that, obviously, comes a lot of try and error and trying to figure out this thing and how do we stay consistent. And just 2 nights ago, Deirdre, I had like this massive rant with my dad because for like 2 years he's been trying to like put a blog out and do a podcast, and it's like, he's our dad, and we're like, Dad, this is what we do for a living, can we help you, right? So we're like telling him these things to do, and he's not listening. He's looking for external advice, and he starts his process writing, and then he records the podcast, right? So yesterday I got all tired, and I was like, send me the files. And he sent me 11 files of like 10 minutes each, right? And each is an episode, and he's recorded these 10 files in a period of almost 2 years, right? And you're like, wow, what's the friction point for a lot of people, right? So there's obviously these elements on the creative aspect, on the knowing what to say, on I don't know how to start it, right? Which AI can leverage big time. And then on my side, when I got these files, once he was able to send them to me, I was like, perfect, real quick, I'm going to leverage AI for the description. I'm going to leverage AI for this thing, right? And it's in Spanish and no problem, right? And all of a sudden, in like 20 minutes, the podcast was up and live and running, right? And I texted him last night at like 1 a.m. in the morning. I was like, hey, Dad, congrats, you're a published podcaster. And he called me freaking out this morning. He's like, wait, what? I didn't know it was going to be that fast. I'm like, what are you so scared of? You're great. Yeah. This is so good.
It was pretty good, not gonna lie. I listened to the podcast and I was like, wow.
And we're not gonna share the name publicly just yet because I don't think he's giving us the permission. But here's the thing, right? Like if we add to that internal fear that a lot of creators have, right, to get started, and then we add so much friction on the process, what's gonna happen? We're not gonna be able to share our message, right? We're not gonna be able to help the people that we want to help, reach the people that we want to reach. So that's why tools like Capsho facilitating this process is so important. This is why I feel so passionate about it. And excitement, energy is good energy. So people, go now. If you're excited about this, go to Capsho and check them out. All the links are right below. You have to sign up for Capsho.com and go sign up. All right. Anyways, that was my official plug.
Love it. Love you guys. Like it's so, I had a user who actually texted me and he's like, wow, can I tell you, I don't tell people this usually, but I suffer from ADHD and dyslexia, and now I can actually spread my message. Those were the words that he used. And I'm like, there is no better feeling in the world than when something that you create can actually help someone like that in that way. So I think I love the story you told. So thank you for telling that. And 100%, that's the power of AI. That's the good that AI can do.
Yeah. Okay. So can we get a little bit like specific?
Yes. Let's do it.
Okay. So in obviously we share our process quite a bit on the show, right? But part of it is, we start with a video. Well, FONZI now starting with research, and then that turns into a video because it's the easy way for us to produce, right? And then from there, we're like, okay, there's all these assets that can get created, right? The video assets, right? The main episode, the podcast description, all the things, right? And we've always stopped as a team on the distribution side. It has been our biggest, rock to move until now, right? Part of it because of that side of things, right? And when we talk to clients, it's like, hey, you get all this content and then it's not distributed or not things, and we think about the physical action to distributing that content, right? Putting it on the distribution. But before that, there's this step where we had to write copy, right? From the things that we said. And that's normally delegated to like a virtual assistant or yourself as an entrepreneur, right? If you don't have the team or if you have a company, maybe it's the agency that does it for you. And then there's all this friction because it's not your voice, right? And then there's like comes back and it's revisions after revisions. Like, I didn't say that. That's not the right way to do it. Bah, 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 bah. So you showed me this demo, the original one, when we've had like 3 calls like in a row. And I think it was like one of the first ones. And you're like, okay, we're basically grabbing your message and your voice and we're recognizing your voice. And then after that, we're spitting out these amazing scripts or captions or sections where you can also choose like a type of voice, which is super exciting too. So I think to me, like that was super interesting, right? But can you describe us a little bit more on like what is that asset that people get, and like maybe how much time is saving your users, right? I think time is like a precious resource when it comes to this, or teams. Like So what are some of the interesting things that you guys are doing there?
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to talk about it from the context of 2.0 because that's
Yes.
literally, yeah. So yes, we are going to enable tone of voice, and soon, because this is kind of like the 2.0, and then there's going to be like a 2.1. So 2.0 right now is you choose, right? You can choose what type of tone of voice you want. Is it thoughtful, or is it professional, or is it caring, or is it, there's all these different tones of voice. But 2.1 will be, hey, let Capsho, basically listen to your episode and figure it out. And so that's going to be coming around really.
So it'll be like FONZI boring, LUISDA amazing, right?
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
FONZI super smart, LUISDA needs to work on his English. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I think it'll be more like super enthusiastic, and because that's what I get back on mine. It's like Deirdre was really enthusiastic. So it's probably going to be down that path. But yeah, so and then basically the whole philosophy that we talked about humanity. We're entering the humanity era, so our whole editor experience is around this. We call it the humane editor.
Yeah.
Again, it's like AI. You know what I mean. And part of that is you can build like we'll call them templates. So for all of the different assets, you can actually build your own from scratch if you want to, or you can leverage templates built by experts. For example, the BIZBROS will be one. If you wanted to use the BIZBROS's show notes template, then that will be there. You can start from there. Right, the AI will populate the structure of that, and then you can still customize from there. You can move things around if you're like, oh, I generally like the BIZBROS structure, but you know what, I actually want to put my quote here instead. Yeah. Then you can do that. You can save your own template. You can even share it as well. So yeah, that's across all of the assets. So we're talking title, description, show notes, social media captions, promotional and engagement email, LinkedIn article, blog post, YouTube description, and it just pulls out a ton of quotes for you as well from your episodes. So when the BIZBROS talk about those key moments, like Capsho helps you capture those.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah, I think so. I'm curious. Obviously, we tried the first one, and one of the challenges is the fact that we had accents. We're two people, right? So when we have a guest, sometimes we're like, joking and talking a little bit over each other and stuff like that. And it might get confusing.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm guessing like the technology has advanced. It just advances so fast.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious, how does it deal for people that might have like co-hosted shows and stuff like that? How does it work in there?
Yeah, so we have a ton of users who have hosted shows, and it's been absolutely fine. It really depends on what you're looking for. So for Capsho, our main target audience are entrepreneurs who podcast, and the reason why is because entrepreneurs know, and you guys would know this as well, like how much thought and intention goes into content marketing. And we're talking about content marketing across the board, right? Like, if we're talking about a blog post, it's not a blog post for the sake of blog post. It's a blog post that, will get you visibility, right? It's the same with when you do videos and you're on social media, right? It's for a particular purpose. And so that's why we wanted to work with entrepreneurs, because we know that that's how they think, and that's how we built Capsho, right? So the whole reason, so, the co-hosting aside and who said what aside, like the whole one of the powers behind Capsho is that you can actually focus it on a particular topic. So if we put aside like who said what, it's more like, hey, this episode was about this particular topic, because again, as entrepreneurs, we know that that's how we get listened. That's how we build an audience, right? Like we have to talk about things that are important to our audience. And so that's what Capsho is designed to do. It's kind of just more like, hey, let's drive it from a topic, SEO, keyword, etc. perspective when we create these assets. Yes, it's important to know who said what, because that will come down to then the quotes and and getting the transcript and stuff right. But the way that I look at it, it's more like, hey, if we can just nail what it is that we're talking about, so that in a way that actually resonates with our audience, then we're capturing the power then of the content.
Yeah, you're definitely helping people with their overthinking. On the, when you sit right in front of your nose and you're like, what am I gonna put here? And then like you see the clock just ticking away, and you're like, oh my gosh.
There's okay. Fun fact. This is gonna be hilarious. Do you have blogs out there?
Blogs,
articles in the interwebs?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, I am a published blog.
You're a published blogger?
Yes, I am. I have 2 blogs out there live.
Is it you or is it AI?
Yeah. Right? People that were very close to me read them and they're like, oh my gosh, these are so good. They're your boys.
He left his humanity.
Yes.
So, he left it. He left it.
Never. I will share them. We can put them in the description.
He's like Frodo with the ring,
Yeah.
He's like carrying, he's like, my precious, and he's like about to destroy it. He's like, I'm going to be able to do all this creative work on myself. And then he's like, no, I'm going to keep it. That's him.
Okay. So, obviously, if you're creative, great. Not great, but we have to make money from the content that we create, right? In some way. Like for us, obviously, it's no secret. Like the connections that we make over the podcast, that's the fastest way to build those relationships. But also on the back end, now we have an inventory of almost 400 episodes, right? That we're like, okay, there's a ton of stuff here that we can leverage, right? Not in this universe with 2 kids. I'll have the time to go over those episodes. And I know there's some, there's some really, really good ones, right? That you're like, oh my gosh, like this is really good information that applies to me, to my market, to the people that we're helping. And we're not putting it out there. That's a disservice that we're doing to our audience, right? So not alone, like let alone the stuff that we've already created, but the things that we're creating, moving forward as well. So, and business loves speeds, money loves speed. So how can we integrate these technologies, right, in a way that we can leverage that? And that was my point, right? With not throwing rocks at Fonzie, right? I love him to death, and what he writes is freaking amazing.
Do you love me to death?
Yes, I do. To the death. I love you to fight you to the death. But to this point, it's like, okay, we've discussed, right? We're like, okay, can we grab these episodes, right? And we currently do not send an email with summaries or teasing the episode or promoting the episode. It's one of the things that it's in the list that we got to do, right? So when I see this, I'm like, this is speed. This is opportunity. We can grab these summaries. We can grab these topics, right? That Capsho is giving back to us with so much love. And that could be the start of that, where it can put the business in a position where we can go execute. So I think that's where it's going to help a ton of people. And by the face of the hype video that you sent me at the very beginning, the first 3 minutes, people are like, wait, what? Right? So I just want people to get really excited. And, if they're not educated, go educate yourself on AI, on these tools, especially on Capsho. Connect with Deirdre, obviously. Let us know. We're very involved. Like, we had 3 calls already where we're talking on the process.
You guys are co-creating with us. It's gonna be exciting. Yeah, what we have coming, OMG, these guys are bringing the heat for sure.
I know. I was like, hey, Deirdre, can we be partners? And she's like, it's just a ton of money. I'm like, just tell me the number. We'll find the money. I don't care. But jokes aside, I'm just saying. Anyways, but I think it's gonna be super useful because we felt the pain. We've been there. We've been in the place where we're stuck for years trying to create and we haven't. And then finally there's a system, and then there's technology also that goes with it. So Deirdre, thank you so much for what you guys are doing. I think it's super awesome. I think you should be sharing your story more often because, from corporate to restaurant empire in Australia to, tech mogul in the United States, New York, and now in Austin.
Fun fact. I don't know why, but every time I share with somebody where you're from, I'm always like, yeah, they're from New Zealand. Every single time.
Gosh.
I don't know why.
I was talking. It was. Can I just tell it like a really random story?
Yeah.
I was talking to the StreamYard team actually, and it was there were 3 of them, and a couple of them were really engaged in the conversation. They were asking me where I was from, and and I told them this funny story about how everyone really goes either really conservative or not. So really conservative is New Zealand, and not is oh, you're from the UK, right? That's kind of what we always get. Okay. And so it's either New Zealand or the UK. And then the other guy, then at the end of the conversation, I was saying bye, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, are you from New Zealand?" And we're like, "What? Did you not just listen to this whole conversation?" Anyway, so I get New Zealand a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
I think the first time I met you guys, I think I asked if you guys were from England.
Yeah.
I was like, they might be from London and support my soccer team.
Nobody cares about your soccer team, Fonzie.
But no, you told me you were from Australia, and then when I introduced you to my girlfriend, I was like, oh yeah, they're from New Zealand. And not to throw you or guys under the bus, but you guys were really surprised that I had a girlfriend.
We were.
You guys were in shock.
I mean, for a number of reasons, of which is like Fonzie has a girlfriend. No, just kidding. We love you,
Fonzie. We just love half
guys,
the audience.
I'm incapable of love. That's what they. It's okay. It's okay.
All the 40% females were here for you because you were single. Now we lost them all.
No, we lost. That's why we saw the dip in the listenership.
It was that. Anyways, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Is there anything else that you want to add before we head out?
Oh gosh, no. I mean, I think we covered heaps, but you guys are rocking it. Keep doing what you're doing. I think spreading the word about how content creation is so important is it is the way to go. That is what is going to start to really differentiate the, entrepreneurs to like the money making ones. So love what you guys are doing.
Let's go.
I do have something to add. The other day I checked it out. You guys have the State of Podcast Marketing Report. It's actually really good. So go check it out. You can find it at capsho.com/report, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Again, you guys did a pretty good job. I know you collaborated with other brands.
Yes.
For this, with other companies like Listen Notes, Squadcast. I'm trying to read them here.
Podbean, Alitu, Grow the Show.
So
what are those glasses for?
Some big brands.
Yes.
These glasses are for blue light, not for reading. So some big brands, and the report is actually really good. It has some really insightful information that will definitely help you grow your show. So again, go check it out. capsho.com/report.
Awesome. Okay. We always leave people with an action point. I know which one I'm going to share with. Do you have anything for any entrepreneurs, creators, CEOs of companies that are publishing away?
They are publishing, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or should it be like start publishing?
Or I mean, everybody should. Yeah. We don't like the word should, but people need to publish too. We need to put our messages out there. Yeah.
Yeah, they need to publish. So that's the first one. And I think just be like as intentional as possible. I mean, I think starting like publishing in itself is just a beast. So just start there. But if you're getting the hang of it, then it's like really be intentional about the platforms that you're on and how you're using them. Like that's what I found has been the make and break for me and my content.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Fonz?
Well, I was going to say we have a segment called the Cool Tools Cool, but I'm pretty sure what tool we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Well, this was like that's what I said in the beginning. You don't listen. It was like that.
That's like the New Zealand story.
Yeah. Wow. Anyways. Wow. Fonz. Okay. Yeah, I think we lost the rest of the people on the show.
No, wait, but I know you said that before we started recording the podcast.
No. It was. Didn't I say it here recording it? Yeah. Of course. Okay. Anyways, my action point, guys, go to capsho.com. Put in your email. Stay tuned because 2.0 is coming. It's gonna be amazing. BIZBROS are collaborating. We're in the mix. And we want to see you guys succeed, obviously. And I know that this is a big element in the production aspect that a lot of people stop because of things like this that we're not able to do. And what Capsho is allowing you to do is to move past that as a smooth operator and put the content out there.
Lean into your humanity and don't let AI take over your life.
Yes.
Join the resistance. Now I'm kidding.
Yes. Join the resistance. Yeah. All right, guys. With that said, thank you so much for tuning in Content's Profit Podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform and on social media at BIZBROS Co.
That is right. In today's episode to help you move one step closer towards your goal. Please don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review and visit capsho.com. Let's go.
Bye, guys.